Hi, welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. So it's taken me all morning to get around to doing this video. I've had one obstacle after another. So today I want to go back and I want to revisit this diagram that we went over the other day and this system that we're in this transition period that we're coming into. So let's go back and talk about this 12 by 12 on everything. The 12 tribes, the 12 zodiac, the 12 this, the 12 that. Okay. We had, for thousands of years, what I would be calling a closed system. Last night I had so many downloads and my mind is so tired. I'm so tired today. Man, my brain is just on overload. Okay, so I'm going to call it a closed system because we've been going around in a loop. The snake eating its tail, right? Okay, we've got 12 months in a year, 12 zodiac signs, 12 tribes, 12 disciples, 12 hours by 12 hours. We've got 12 divisions in many, many ancient cosmologies. There's 12 this and 12 that and 12 this. So when you take that and that, you get the system of 12, you get 12 times 12, which is 144. And see, this is what they teach in the Colontics material, is this 12 system, okay? And that we come from this 144. It's like the way that you figure out from an oversoul on down. And so basically 144 represents completion because we talked about it here, right? We've got the 144. 1 plus 4 plus 4 equals 9. 1 is creation. 4 is the four corners or the four elements or the structure of something, the stabilization of the cycle. And then we have a double 4 here, which means this is twinning. This is magnification. Double 4s is an amplification of that number. So we've got basically an amplification of a closed wheel. Think about it, guys. Think about it. A full loop, a closed wheel, or a crystalline structure, a locked-in crystalline structure, right? So does it take a cataclysm to break up a crystalline structure? Think about it. Okay, so let's think about this. What if we imagine a 13 by 13 system? Because we've already talked about how the 13 has been taken out of everything. And the 13 is a number of the Primordial Mother. 13 and 28. Those are her numbers. 1111 is the mirror. Okay, so let's shift our mind and into 13. Okay, so we would have to go back and completely revisit all this right here. Because 13, if 12 symbolizes a closed crystalline form, then 13 symbolizes emergence. Think about it. 13 is the transformation number, the break in the pattern, the spiral instead of the square, the archetype of the mother, the return of fluidity, the number that doesn't fit the grid. So imagine a world built on 13 by 13 instead. 13 by 13 equals 169, 169. 1 6 plus 9 equals 16. 6 plus 1 is 7. In symbolic, in numerology, 7 means intuition, mystery, wisdom, spirituality, inner truth, contemplation. 7 sisters, remember, guys? Compare that to 144 now. Okay, so we've got a double magnification of a closed structure, basically. Right, a completion number, completion endings and closures. So 12 by 12 systems lead to 9, which is the end of a cycle. But 13 by 13 leads to 7, which is insight, intuition, and inner knowing. So again, this is some powerful contrast. So we've got 144, which is a closed wheel, guys. The 12 o'clock hour, right? But I keep telling you, we got to go past the 12 and go to the 13th hour. Because 169 is the open spiral. 9 is finishing, 7 is awakening. So basically, you know, this describes how a lot of us are feeling right now. We're feeling like you know, we know that this is an artificial matrix. And so we need to look at all the evidence that's here that shows us the proof that this is a 12 by 12 system. We know it's a 12 by 12 system. We don't want to stay in a 12 by 12 system, guys. We have to get out of this 12 by 12 system. We have to go from 12 to 13. We have to go out of the circle and go into the spiral. We can never have implosion otherwise. This is how we get to a state of bliss, guys. The themes of 12 and 13 show up everywhere. Everywhere in storytelling. 12 is the established order. 13 is the one who doesn't fit in. I mean, look at Mary. You know, we had the 12 disciples and we had Mary, right? She was the 13th. You can't, you know, a structure involves masculine and feminine. It's not one way or another. 12 is the old template. 13 is the missing piece. 12 is the finished cycle. 13 is the rebirth. So while we're talking about this 13th arc, I'm going to call these, instead of calling them archetypes, we need to look at linguistics here. Okay, so this was coming into my mind earlier when I kept thinking, well, I should probably, you know, keep my words general and use the word archetype. And then I was thinking, okay, arc, as I'm writing out my notes and I'm writing down my notes and I'm like, ark, okay, wait a minute, Noah's Ark. So basically we're just talking about codes again. So this is just another confirmation that Noah had the codes to go through the Stargate. This is what Noah did. Noah had an ark. He had an ark of all the right genetic material. This is why he probably had the group of daughters that he had married to his sons, right? Because they had primordial mother codes. Okay, so we're talking about the return of the feminine, the return of intuition, the return of stewardship, the return of home and hearth wisdom, the return of nurturing, the return of community care, the return of ancient domestic knowledge, the return of the mother ark. No more Cicero effect, folks. When we use 13 by 13, we're saying when we move out of this old crystallized loop that we're in, we're going into more of a fluid, intuitive, nurturing cycle, guys. So, you know, 13 is changing a pattern here, but it does feel like it's a return for a lot of us. I feel like I already know this way. I already know a way like this to be, that all of us has lived this way, and I have a remembrance in me of this time, and I know a lot of other people do too. And that they just came into this lifetime an old soul and enjoyed and gravitated towards that. I always liked old people. I love to spend time with my grandparents. I love to talk to old people because they tell the most interesting stories. And they, I don't know, they just have had a lifetime of experience. And, you know, I wish I could go back and have even more conversations with my great aunts and my grandmas and my great grandmas and my grandpas, you know. I really enjoy that. I enjoy spending a lot of time with my parents, and they're elderly, and I love their stories. So, you know, symbolically, 13 has always been associated with women and cycles. The moon, 13 houses, 13 tribes, 13 lunar months, 13 divine mothers, 13 tones. In the Maya Tolkien, 13 steps of initiation, right? In the mystery schools, 13 arcs or codes, Noah's Ark. 13 ages, 12 plus the one outside the system, right? We were talking about this graph right here. Let me get my pointer, guys. All right, we were talking about, this was the template right here. This is the archetype that we are going into the 13th if we all do our thing, right? This is the original garden. This is the original template. Okay, well, if we talk about it being a 13 system, that changes everything. But what's really interesting is that the math makes sense, okay? All right, so we know that the primordial mother's number is 28 and 13. Okay, so if we look at an age, instead of being 360,000 years, it's 364,000 years. This way, all the math seems to fall right into place for a 13th house, because we do have a 13th house. We have a 13th zodiac sign that most people have no idea that we have. And This is Ophiuchus, the Ophiuchus. This is the 13th. This is the missing 13th in this system of 12. This is what's been taken out. This missing part. Okay, so if we put this back in, we are bringing back the serpent. We're bringing back the knowledge. We're bringing back the Garden of Eden, guys. We're bringing back the third Garden of Eden. So if we have this age being 364,000 years instead of 360,000 years, that makes more sense why we had 364 days in the year, right? Because they were counting on the cycles for the Primordial Mother. Okay, so if you look over here, and 364 is a full age now, you can divide all this out and get exactly 13 and 28. You get 13 cycles of 2,500 years, right? Because this takes us into the dawn. Remember, it's supposed to be the Celtic order of the golden dawn. Well, they're talking about the golden dawn, guys. The 13th hour, guys. It's the golden dawn. It's the dawn. D-A-W-N. That's the arc. Okay, they know something we don't know. That last 2,500 years after the 12th archetype, which the 12th arc, which the contract is with the Leviathan, right? This is why it's important for all these people to be waking up that carry the wolf serpent arc. If you're from the Scandinavian area, if you have Asian ancestry, if you come from one of these old bloodlines that came from like the Iberian Peninsula, you might be carrying some of these codes right here, these serpent wolf line codes. Go back and do your genealogy. I recommend everybody do your genealogy. If you're worried about somebody having your DNA, unless you were born out in the middle of the woods and you never been to a hospital, you can forget about worrying about that. That's a done deal. They got it when you came out, or probably even before you came out. So, you know, just do the DNA and find out where you come from and do your ancestry. It's pretty mind-blowing when you find out. So this 13th hour here, what we've got to do is that we've got to embrace this 13th aspect, this 13th arc, which is the Ophiuchus, which is the rhythm behind the 12, the pulse of life, and the keeper of our ancestral memory. So this is what we got to do, guys. We've got to return to a different way of being, a different way of being. The 12 by 12 system represents the closed repeating structure. These are the old patterns that we've been in for the last 360,000 years practically. You know, we're at the end of our age, guys. We're at the end of the cycle. The 13 by 13 system represents the intuitive nurturing patterns. This is the new story, guys. This is the new story. The 13th archetype symbolizes the return of the mother, the steward, the hearth keeper, the gardener, the nurturer, the wise woman, the intuitive one, the one who restores the land, guys, the one that restores the land. The one who keeps the flame of the home. You know, home is where the heart is. Home is where the hearth is. The one who heals through daily life, guys. Okay, we're stepping in this together. All right, so this 13th archetype series, I'm going to start on January 1st, 2026. And we are going to start embodying and living the 13th archetype. I'm going to go back and I've already printed out a copy of Mary Randolph, the Virginia Housewife. It's the first American cookbook that was written in the United States. And it was American cookbook, which means it was a combination of many different genealogies, cultures of food. It was bringing a lot of different cuisines together because the United States is a melting pot of people. And so they showcased that in the book. And how to not be wasteful, how to do things, you know, how to use every bit of something for something. Every piece of something has a purpose. And that's one of the things that we're going to be living. We're going to be learning how to be self-sustainable, learning how to grow things in our yard, learning how to use every piece of fruit and vegetable that we grow for a purpose, The peels, everything. Nothing's wasted, guys. This is the way they did it back then. They didn't waste stuff. They didn't have it if you just got tired of something, you just threw it out. You only had one pair of shoes. So you better take care of your shoes. You better learn how to fix them. You made one good pair of shoes. You bought one really good pair of shoes. And then you had the soles redone. You know, people weren't wasteful like they are now. We got to go back to that, guys. We got to go back to that. It's going to be a life of reciprocity. It's reciprocity. So this is going to be a return to the home. So I hope that you guys are going to come along with me, and we're going to start practicing what we're preaching. You know, I'm showing here that this is the life I'm embodying. I choose to live this way. I choose to be a good steward to the planet. I know that I was born here for this time. And it's going to be a lot of work and a labor of love, right? But I love the planet Earth, and I'm committed to doing what's right for the future of humanity and for the future of my children, my legacy, and for all the people that are here. You know, we owe it to the planet. I mean, we chose to come here during this time. We chose to be here. The most exciting time ever is the end of a cycle. I mean, you know, our soul is immortal, guys. Our soul is immortal. So whatever happens, we'll either be back here again and hopefully woke up by that time, or we'll be moving on to something else. We'll be in a higher octave. But, you know, however it is that you're going to choose to conduct yourself right now, it makes a big difference to the outcome of the cycle right here. You know, it's time for all these people to start embodying the 13th arc. A lot of people got it, and it just needs to be switched on. You know, we got a lot of Lyrans here right now. Switch it on. Switch it on. So I'm super excited about, you know, sharing this information that we need to embody the 13th arc in order to be able to take from the 12 closed system into the 13th. And I don't know why it just didn't dawn on me earlier, because it's quite simple, right? We're in a 12 by 12 system. All the teachings are on a 12 system. They're on a 12 by 12 system because why would you want to teach anybody the way to get out of the matrix, right? Go ahead and feed them, you know, go ahead and feed them the same closed loop, right? Give everybody hope. And you're really never getting off the wheel, guys. We're getting off the wheel here. So with that, when you come and find me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, present, and the future all at the same time, guys. There's no time outside of this dimensional space. And we can create this reality. We can switch into the 13th arc, and we can embody it. And we can embody it. So it's time to shit or get, folks. And it's time to walk the walk and stop talking the talk. So please share the videos, like and subscribe if you haven't, folks. Everybody needs to know what the reality is here, what we can do to change our future, the future for our kids, the future for ourselves, how we can escape this 12 by 12 closed system, and we can return to the third Garden of Eden. This is what's coming, guys. We can bring in the third Garden of Eden. So I'd love to hear what you have to say. And don't forget, if you need to contact me, you have questions or anything like that, my email is hstacy90@gmail.com. So I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.